to welcome on board our session moderator for final session, Mr. Sumed Marwaha, Managing Director, Unisys India. Following him, Mr. Vedant Aluwalia, Chief Executive Officer, DataWave Technologies. Mr. Saurabh Agarwal, Chief Executive Officer, DAIOM. Mr. Gaurav Mehrotra, Director Engineering, Huge System. And last but not the least, Dr. Rajan Gupta, Director Data Science and AI ML, Dash Telecom Digital Labs. Also, can I request Mr. Sumed Marwaha to take over the session? Thank you.
All right. Hi, everybody, and thanks for your patience. I know we are standing or sitting between you and food, but this session is about putting food on the table. So this session is about data as the new currency, monetizing information. So first of all, welcome to the session. In today's digital age, data has transcended its traditional role as a mere byproduct of operations and has emerged as a powerful asset, rivaling traditional currencies in its potential value. The sheer volume of data generated each day is staggering. In fact, I was listening to the last question that was asked about real data. According to some estimates, over 2.5 quintillion bytes of data are created every single day. I don't know how many 1024s are there in that. From the clicks of our keyboards to the swipes of our smartphones, we leave a digital footprint that is constantly expanding. This data, when harnessed and analyzed effectively, can unlock unprecedented insights, drive innovation, and create new revenue streams. Now, however, the journey from the raw data to valuable insights is not without its challenges. Data quality, privacy concerns, and ethical considerations are just a few of the hurdles that must be overcome. It is imperative that we strike a balance between maximizing the value of data and safeguarding sensitive information. In this panel discussion, we will delve into multifaceted world of data monetization. We will explore the various strategies that organizations can employ to unlock the hidden potential of their data assets. We will also discuss the ethical implications of data monetization and the importance of responsible data practices. Our esteemed panelists who are expert in their respective fields will share their insights, experiences, and will also talk about some of the best practices. They will shed light on the latest trends, challenges, and opportunities in the ever-evolving landscape of data monetization. We will have Q&A, hopefully. I know, we are very, very short on time, but we will definitely make sure there is some time for Q&A. And how we will do this session is, we will talk about a few topics. I'll give some topics to all the esteemed panelists here. And, after that, we'll open up for some discussions and questions. So, starting with you, Rajan, the first question is, and we have heard a lot of it earlier today also, how do businesses value data? And who owns the data? Like, is it owned by the businesses, government, individuals, third parties? And what are the ethical issues involved, while we are looking at monetization of data?
Right. Thank you, Sumit, for setting the context and giving us an overview around the topic for today, which is around data monetization. So before I come to the point of how and who owns the data, just briefly talking about the fundamentals here, that what do we mean by data monetization, in the sense that we are actually attaching tangible economic value to the raw data that we are collecting, that we are having at the business level. And why it is important? Because A, it gives us efficiency in our businesses, B, it helps us in improving our top line and bottom line, and C, it also gives us additional revenue streams through which we can actually utilize the data. From that perspective, there are a couple of ways through which we can achieve data monetization. There are direct ways and there are indirect ways. Direct ways, we generally serve data as a service or analytics as service or insights as service. You'll see a lot of reporting being done from the data, and directly data is not being given. And we have indirect ways of monetization through which we see that internal purposes, organizations are improving their efficiencies and business operations. Now, from those perspectives, there could be a few examples around this. For example, Google and Facebook are utilizing or monetizing their data through advertisements. So people are actually posting their ads based on the data demographics and where the target audience is. Whereas on the other side, let's say any kind of retailer, large online retailer or somebody like a Spotify would aggregate the information, give it to their merchants for the improvement of their platform and the engagement. So that is where the data monetization lies and is being utilized. Now we need to understand there are three stakeholders here: the organization, the business, the customer, and the partner. So we are working in an ecosystem where these three are the stakeholders. Whosoever owns the product owns the data as well. So for example, if it's a large online retail company, for example, let's take the case of Amazon, which recently introduced Rufus as the AI assistant. In that case, if it is using LLM even outside their AWS environment or something else from the OpenAI world or anybody else, then in that case, the transactions are happening on the Amazon platform, and hence the data remains with them. But the partner ecosystem, who are merchants, who are registering themselves, are also equally responsible for their own products and the information. So it's a shared responsibility, but whosoever owns the product or services owns the data as well. And in that respect, nowadays we see from Deutsche Telekom side, which I represent, we are also trying to monetize data with respect to Data Intelligence Hub that is there live in Germany. We are the largest data space provider where we can have B2B sharing of the data sets through secured ways, of course. And also, we are coming up with our own foundation model, which is telco specific, and that includes a lot of data training along with other telcos of the world like Singapore Telecom and South Korea Telecom coming together. So there, every stakeholder is equal participant. So it really depends on case to case, but these are the major stakeholders who owns the data. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Rajan. And I think you spoke about various channels and various models of data monetization. So Saurabh, I'll come to you now to talk about the various models that are there, direct sales, various marketing related aspects. So just talk about a little bit of that and what are the most effective and sustainable ways for businesses to generate revenue from these data.
Yeah. So thank you very much. So the way I look at it is, every company is becoming a data company today. And there are basically three key models of thinking about data monetization. So the first model is you are in the business of selling data, which is the data brokerage business. So companies like Experian, DNB, Sibyl, who in a formal manner, they share information of customers for credit ratings and validation purpose, which gives businesses to extend credit. So that is selling, but there are a lot of unregistered data brokers who end up selling data like phone numbers or stuff for unsolicited marketing, which we all are troubled with all the spam calls we get. The next big area is usage of data, which I think so 90% of the firms get into, is how you use, you monetize data for your internal improvement purpose. For example, Amazon uses data for doing better recommendations to sell their products and cross-sell their services. Netflix uses that information to share it with the creators to see how we can improve or figure out what's the next best movie for that audience to be created. Is it Mr. Beast should be done or should be done with Kapil Sharma? And the third big area is sharing of data. Okay, so let me ask a question to the audience. How many people have used any of the UPI apps? Yeah. And have you ever got a cashback of even a single rupee? Amazing, yeah. So what I say is, the fun in getting lakhs of rupees of salary every month is less than that 2 rupees of surprise cashback you get. That's the power of data monetization, and today what is happening is 90% of the UPI market is taken by non-bank companies, which includes PhonePe, Google Pay, Paytm, and all the banks are just custodian of money. The transaction ecosystem is through PhonePe, Google Pay, all the UPI apps. and they have and they don't earn money from either of us or for the merchant. They earn money by running ads. We get those scratch card coupons, or in cred we have seen. So that is the way where people have built a data monetization in an ethical manner on an pseudo ad tech, which the biggest example is Google, Meta, Facebook, and then all these other companies. The challenge out here is, while we can debate that, that it's right or wrong to sell data and provide marketing services, but the hard fact is, to drive adoption, you have to be a free ecosystem. When WhatsApp launched, it started with a $2 fees. Hardly it got any adoption. Okay, and then later it had to do free, and Meta acquired it at a huge amount of, I think, so $20–30 billion, and that is used for running ads. So data monetization in different forms of selling, using, or sharing is the prevalent model, and companies have to figure out, are they using it for internal efficiency or to drive revenue?
No, excellent. I think thanks for that. Some very good examples there. Now, having said that, I will go to you, Gaurav. So, how can we use AI and various analytics model to speed up the journey of data monetization?
Sure. Thanks, Sumit. So before going into how the AI can be used as a data monetization, I'll try to touch upon some of the aspects of data monetization which Saurabh was talking. I'll give you a very simple example. I think in some cases of the OTT platform, most of us are using a lot of OTT platform. A very use case of 2016, how they came up with this was, this is a very popular video servicing platform. They have a lot of data in terms of what you are viewing, when you are viewing, how much you are viewing. With that kind of information what they were having, they started to building a content which user will be hooked to. One of a very example is, I think you must have heard of the web series House of Cards, how that came up. With that kind of a data which they were having, they build to think how the user can be binged toward it. Earlier the web series were done every weekly. Now what they did was, with that kind of a data, what they were having, they said, let's give that we'll release all the episodes in a once. That was all related, that information and insights were all came from the data what they were having. And very example of the apps what we are using, like this cab booking apps. You will be surprised to know that in the real-time analytics, they are even using the battery level to give you the search pricing. And that's a kind of a power of a data they are monetizing. You are booking a cab, they see the battery levels you are having, and they monetize that in terms of giving you the search prices. So apart from the various models, whether you are selling the data directly through a brokerage or as a service or an insights through various analytics, through advertisements or through any partnerships, these aspects of data in which you can improve the processes and get the insight that how you can leverage it is a very great aspects of our data. So that's why the data is getting into a value and kind of a monetization aspects. Now how AI can be ruled into this? This kind of a data what we are having, what AI gives us, it can immensely analyze the data at a kind of a speed you cannot imagine. The huge amount of a data, millions and billions of a data you are having. And these AI models have a capability to analyze this amount of a data at a speed, to get the features out of a data, to get the relationships between the data, and now place the kind of a streaming effect into it. The kind of a data you are having, you put the streamings into it, the frameworks into it, the right kind of an architecture, you can have a real-time analytics over that kind of a data we are having. The example I just highlighted you in terms of the search pricing. Put the generative AI, LLMs, NLP over it, you get to have analysis out of an unstructured data, which are the PDF files, the images, the Word doc. You are able to get a conversational aspects out of the data. Over this NLP, now you put the visualization tools, the various graphing, to understand the billions of data. Let's say I take a census data, which is having every 11 to 12 years. In the billions and billions of our data, you cannot analyze manually. So these kinds of AI, the deep analytics over it, the graphing models, whether it's a histograms, whether it's your scatter plots, whether distribution plots, that give you to understand the data before even able to you think of how to monetize it. How it is done, it's a very deep concept. I'll touch in a very brief points. Before you think of even monetizing it, what you need to do, you have billions of data aggregated from everywhere. It's like when you see that data, you will not be able to make sense out of it. What is this? What I need to do with it? Then you come into that, okay, I need to at least first start out cleaning that data, understanding in various segments. What you do, you see that there is a data in which data is missing. You do imputations. There are outliers. You need to do a Z scoring out of it. Okay, I need to balance out that data. There are missing column, the data types. Now, if you have a textual data, you need to normalize. I'll give you a very simple example again on it. Let's say there are a lot of devices out here. Those IoT devices, you are gathering information. Let's say we are doing a web scraping and trying to gather the information of those devices, who made it, what frequency it works, and what are the operational aspects, what are the certifications out of it. Now, each of these devices have a manufacturer and a model. Now, when you scrap from data from each of these sides, you give different manufacturers out of it. Let's say we have a manufacturer which is ABC Manufacturing Limited. The same web scraping gives from another site, it gives ABC India Limited. Another site gives ABC Private Limited. Now, all these companies are same, but the name is different. So now you need to at least normalize this to understand, okay, for ABC Manufacturer Limited, these were the number of devices. So for that, I need to do some fuzzy logging, some analysis out of it that all these companies are the same. So that kind of a data cleaning and analysis you need to do even before you want to monetize. So saying all that, I think that's a very deep topic. I can keep talking on it, but understanding the time, I'll stop here.
No, thanks a lot. I think that was great and some very powerful examples there. In fact, one of your examples took me back to childhood days when we used to wait for a Sunday to come to watch Ramayana and Mahabharata. And now, I know of my friends who will binge watch 9-hour sort of web series in one night. So I think it's a very powerful example that you gave. But let me move to Vedant. And Vedant, I know you work with a lot of organizations and even countries on AI. What are your thoughts on using AI for data monetization based on what you have heard so far?
Thank you. Basically adding on to a lot of thoughts that everyone has shared, very unique, very good perspective. But one thing I'd like to reiterate is that we are in the middle of a revolution. And AI is not a revolution compared to tech for everyone in the tech industry here. It's only compared to electricity, which means the impact, the first time our ancestors ever saw light in their house, turn on at night just with the click of a button, that level or bigger impact is to be had with AI. So AI is not just tech plus plus, it's a whole new reset where a new operating system, a new e-commerce platform, everything can be new. So we all have an opportunity of a lifetime in front of us. If we do act correctly, the $20–30 trillion that's going to be generated globally in global GDP can actually be captured by a lot of people, because AI, unlike tech, depends on data, like we're talking about. And data lies in many pockets. There are many domain experts, and there are many people that understand this data better. And they can actually have a chance against the big tech companies this time, because AI has given that playing field. So purely from a monetization perspective, historically, India believes that wealth is made generation by generation. We need 5 generations to become a Birla, 5 generations to become a Tata. But tell me, how many of you have heard of OpenAI 7 years ago? And it's the fastest $100 billion company. In 5 years, $100 billion, which is more than many of the family businesses here. And that is the power of AI. That's the power of this revolution. And having this opportunity is something that, 100 generations coming will talk about this. This will be the golden age, the new transformation where many countries rise, many people rise, and there's a big switch. So from a company perspective, thinking about the clarity and thinking about your data and your contribution and your role in this overall emphasis is how you focus on showing your unique data and bringing AI to it to capture value of high amounts. Because in the end, it is, of course, your data generated through time, but the value of the data is actually in what it can generate in terms of value to other people. Like ChatGPT just took all the data from the internet, many other data sources, and it was able to process that data and give us answers that we want. In Google, we would search for hours, try to find what's relevant, and we'd never find it. But now in one sort of question, you're able to get a personalized response considering a lot of data on the internet personally in seconds. It's reduced the value of a person that can search online and make a PPT, because even this can do that. And even for writers, getting a prose in the matter of minutes. So the value is actually enormous, no matter what we look at, right, from LLMs, generative AI, or any platform. But as businesses, what we need to start thinking about is being AI first. If you're losing data, you're not correcting the right fields as we speak, you're actually losing out on significant value. In certain cases, the value of your data, if you use the correct AI, will be more valuable than your entire business. There's a $100 million company in Jamaica that we're working with, advising them. They have basically switched from being a security company to being an AI company because they've realized this value. And true value lies in that 11th data point, like said by many big leaders in the world. It's that unique data that you're capturing that can add a very big perspective to AI. And very important, as you all undertake this journey to understand, transform your business, is to understand what is AI. And here in the market in India, and even governments, since we advise and train a lot of countries, even at United Nations, other places, the major gap is the understanding of AI is not clear. As a term, of course, it might have been made in the 1950s, but basic AI like linear regression, ML, and all these things we are doing is not as capable as AI brain technology. This is what has redefined the world. This technology is able to drive on its own. A driver's brain for the car. That's impact. That's high-level transformation. A brain that can see your eyes and tell you you'll get a heart attack in next 5 years. Google is launching it. This is deep learning. This is the AI brain technology we are talking about. And of course, I have direct affiliation to that since I was in Stanford, worked in the lab and other things. But if you're looking at monetization, don't look at a 1-year angle, 2-year angle, or doing something small or a +1. Think about a big transformation. Even when Apple and Steve Jobs started, they stood alone saying that we need an operating system where a 4th grade student and even a grandparent will want to use the computer. Most of the industry was like, no, what will they do? Play games, we don't need it. But he stood strong, had his idea, and built a vision that is one of the largest companies in the world. So that is where you have an opportunity to really conquer and rise. And if many of you do rise and even go as far as creating $1 trillion company based on the data you have, that will be the rise of India. And that is something we are actually working towards in a large way, but not the topic of the discussion. But our idea is to really build a lot of countries and bring India back to its original glory as well. Thank you.
Oh, that was awesome. And I think some of the examples you gave around, going deep into the data, I still remember there are a lot of use cases where people have got alerts when, their old parents or somebody had a fall because of smartwatches and all of that. So I think it's already really, really helping. And I agree, we are in the middle of a revolution, but revolution can go wrong very quickly if it is not regulated. And Rajan, let me come back to you on some of that, about data privacy, about the regulations. You are your company is a European company. I'm sure you have to deal with GDPR. We are in the middle of launching DPDP for India. So what are your thoughts on some of those compliances and regulations?
Right. Yeah, I think the underlying assumption is that we don't get carried away in the tsunami of data monetization and data generation. I think that's where regulations and regulatory bodies comes into consideration, and GDPR is one of those regulations which keeps us on track. I'm not sure how many of you remember when ChatGPT was launched in 2022, a lot of countries in Europe banned it immediately. It was not allowed to be used in any of the organizational setup, enterprise setup. It was only used for personal usages. So from that perspective, GDPR is giving us a good framework to deal with this. We are dealing with lawful fairness and transparency within our data standard practices. We are using it with limited purposes. So purpose limitation is one of the key aspects where we are not storing or using data without any purposes, and we are using only minimal amount of data for that is required for us to monetize. From that perspective, accuracy is also another aspect that we are taking care of, that we are storing the accurate data. And it is having a storage limitations. That means it is not stored beyond a certain limit. Apart from that, integrity and authenticity is one of the major concerns, that only relevant people are allowed to access that data, and there is somebody who is taking accountability. So these are the key principles behind GDPR, which are being considered by most of the organizations which are global in nature now. And also, if you see the DPDP, that is Digital Personal Data Act in India, that is also taking into account the limitations, the purpose limitations, the data minimizations, and the accountability part. So there is a subset of GDPR that we have already adopted in DPDP Act, and it does not covers too much on the cross-border sharing of the data. It does not covers that many entities, that many types of data. It is only focusing on digital data right now, DPDP. But if somebody wants to get into the global standards, they must see that GDPR guidelines are compliant for that organization to work on the monetization of the data. And for that, we are appointing data protection officers now. DPOs are there, dedicated teams are being appointed for that, whose job is to create the right and secured infrastructure, come up with data storages which is masked, encrypted, or pseudo-anonymized. They are checking those measures very regularly from the technical perspectives. They are also taking right consent from the right stakeholders that the data will be used for certain purposes. If the consent is not given, we are not going ahead, or enterprises are not going ahead. We are also looking into the fact that retention policy is abided by. That means we are not retaining the data after a certain limit, and how the data being erased from the system is also a very important aspect that we are considering. So all in all, whether it is secure data sharing, whether it is about the retention policies, whether it is about the purpose and the consent management, if we have to be successful in monetizing the data, we have to abide by the general ethics and the laws that are there. There are a lot of unethical practices that are going on, and that can happen by chance or by choice, but then there are heavy fines and hefty kind of amounts that needs to be paid, which keeps any organization on its toes with respect to ethics being considered whenever they are talking about any applications. So these are few of the things that are already being considered.
Thanks a lot for that. I think that was great, because as Vedanta earlier said, go ahead, make billion-dollar companies, but I think as per Rajan, don't get too carried away. Make sure you do it within the framework of the regulations and compliances and ethics and the laws, kind GDPR or DPDP, whatever is applicable. Now having said that, a very interesting sort of scene is going on, right? Where the consumer himself or herself has become the product, right? So it is my data which is now being used, though I'm using the product, I'm using Google, I'm using all of that, but I'm also becoming the product, right? So, I want to come back to you, Saurabh, and you spoke about what is in it for the consumer a little bit, right? Google Pay gives you a couple of rupees and all of that. But what else? Why should I allow my data to be monetized? What is in it for me?
Yeah. So I'll ask a question to the audience like I did last time as well. How many people wear a smartwatch? Just keep your hands up. How many of you are healthy? So that is the irony, wearing a smartwatch does not make us healthy, okay? It tells us the steps. Like my mom recently bought a smartwatch. She was happy कि मेरे ना 6000 steps हो रहे हैं. So she was happy. मैंने कहा ये तो normal है. अब इसके ऊपर चलना पड़ेगा तब आप healthy होंगे. Now, if you see recently, I don't know is it true or not, there was some WhatsApp message which was flowing that if you walk 12,000 steps a day consistently, you can get your Apple iWatch ka money refunded. And if you walk consistently, health insurance premiums, you will get discounts. So that is a very interesting way where people are using your data for your benefit. Either you get discounts or other things. How many people pay for YouTube premium services? Yeah. So Sumit talked about if you are not paying for the product, you are the product. Okay, and YouTube is a great example where we all watch a lot of content for free and get irritated by the ads. if we don't want our data to be shared with the monetizers or ad ecosystem, you pay for the subscription, whatever, $3-4 per month, and it gives you that benefit. So a trust ecosystem where if I don't want to become a product, I pay, and if I want to use the freemium services, I become a product. In the way I would summarize it, it's the decision between the operator and the customer. If the operator is able to extract the data value so that the customer is also benefited and the operator is also benefited, not that it sucks out so much of data that he gets impacted by the regulations somewhat. So that's my viewpoint.
Yeah, no, I think that's interesting because now, Gaurav, if you want to add, where do we draw that line, right? From an ethics standpoint, is it fair for an insurer to look at my smartwatch data and then give me a premium, or, and is it ethical? Should I be allowing that?
So in terms of the ethics and how this data is being used across, so I have read somewhere a term of a surveillance capitalism. So what we are doing is, unknowingly and uninformed, I am accepting some terms and condition hefty pages which I am unaware of. So I am giving a consent and giving a consent to someone, okay, you can use this, but I am unable to go through all the terms and conditions. So as an organization, this is my view, that the terms and condition, how this data is being used and what it is being used for as an ethically, should be very much prescribed in the terms and condition in the bolds and highlighted way. So you cannot, you can take examples of any kind of a terms and condition. I don't think any one of us have read terms and condition of when you accept the Apple Watch, how that data is being sharing, or any smart car which is being used, or any Google Pay or any apps. So there are apps, there was a news, I'll not name that, how one of money back these apps, which is basically analyzing our credit card, is using our Gmail data for prescribing what you need to do and what not. So that kind of an informed consent, we should be very much careful what we are accepting for. The other aspect of it is when the organization are keeping those data, they generally do anonymization all across it. But even that, data breaches do happen. That's for there. Whatever security firewalls, whatever security mechanism you do, data breaches do happen. So the kind of a data, what we need to keep, how much we need to keep, what kind of a consent we need to use, and how the consumers will be impacted by that, I think that's from the ethics perspective we should be careful about.
Awesome. I think thanks for that. We have to keep it open, transparent. Consumer needs to know what their data is being used for. And with that, let me come back to you, Vedant. You have done a lot of projects on AI with a lot of organizations, even countries to that extent. And you heard, some of the thoughts of this panel around data monetization. You yourself spoke about using AI. You want to elaborate a little bit more on the kind of projects that you have done, maybe some examples for the forum here?
Certainly. So because of a lot of the lack of knowledge of AI, many people are not prepared for what is to come. So as an example, when we were working with the Jamaica Prime Minister's office, they were planning the entire country to just relate to creating call centers. Good logic, very close to US, you speak English, you can build an entire economy on call centers, but AI can do it better. It can do it cheaper, and it can personalize and remember every conversation. So at a certain point, it starts becoming better and irrelevant to skill your workforce in this direction. And this is just one of the many examples. There was a time when Kodak used to run the camera industry. It was only less time after that it disappeared. And there was a time when BlackBerry used to lead the mobile industry. And within the launch of an Apple, everything changed. This is that time where it's not just about tech anymore, not just about one product, it's about every industry. You don't know what new benefit AI is bringing because it's a brain. It reduces the cost, improves the revenues, improves your quality. No matter how good your current relationship, your market, your product is, at a certain point, if I'm giving a lower cost product at a better quality, manufacturing in the same facility, I can make much more. I'm actually creating something that can outcompete almost anyone. And that is what is happening right now as we speak. AI has reached that level of power where it can use your data and help you achieve these benefits. But if you don't, someone else is. And they're going to start really coming by with better products. And the world is a very small place. A lot of things are going to start moving from online to here and many other places. So that is where I think the entire idea at organization level, at owner of business level, is to just rethink your strategy. The world as it is today is not going to be the same in 5 years. Even children studying in school and colleges will not be experiencing the same world we did. Just as now having a blackboard is not as relevant, in the future there will be a lot of things that will not be relevant that we are doing right now. But achieving that efficiency, achieving that optimization is key for us to survive and grow. And that is where I think the biggest decisions are going to be taken now. There is a digital divide. Maybe we don't have data, maybe we have other things, but we are the solvers of our own problems. We have to rise up, and as a country, as people, really stand up and rise to the revolution. Then only can we be part of it. Where many companies in US are saying 2030, nanobots will make us immortal, and there are major technologies such as a quantum chip that has come with Google has invented, which really questions your level of compute. As many industries and countries, if we are not living in the current, we're actually living way behind. And rising to the future is our goal, our vision. So I really urge everyone to start rethinking, start including AI, not as just a plan of data monetization, but as a plan of your overall business at a core level to take you ahead to the next level. Because a business in 5 years in your industry will not be the same as it is today. And there will be new businesses coming, there will be new disruptions coming, the way startups are being created at scale. Some people are looking at doing something similar as to what you're doing. And if they do it more efficient, better quality, lower cost, that will be very difficult competition to meet. So on that note, I pass it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great insights. With that, I want to open it up for any questions from the audience. We have just, first we'll go there.
My basic question is that we are seeing that there is a lot of investment going on at this point of time in GPUs. NVIDIA is coming up with that, TPUs also, but it seems there's a perception that it is going into crypto mining and a lot of these, innovations that are very much, relevant for, global capability centers or very much relevant to G7 countries. So how does it percolate down to the, remote areas, for India example, where there is agriculture, where there's issues with, for example, with the farmer yields, supply chain issues, how do you, basically deal with the challenges of, small retailers, small businesses, because we are finding that their models are coming like quick commerce, and which require a lot of, energy, etc., but obviously, only big businesses will be able to manage, which can hire very big data analytic firms like Snowflake, Databricks, etc. But what about the, the small businesses, informal channels, etc.? Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you. I think a very pertinent, very good question. So there's a very big difference in AI between foundational models and application models. Foundational is ChatGPT. We recently had a group of Saudi investors come by, interact with me. We told them about what we are doing, and they said, how will we compete with ChatGPT though? But the idea is you don't have to compete with ChatGPT. You don't have to build that one thing that they've done well. There are millions of other things coming in AI. $20 trillion is not only in building an LLM. You can build an applied model for AI in your segment, which is low compute, low cost. In fact, just to add a little more perspective, we have set up an applied AI lab at Mayo College in Ajmer, where 4th grade students are able to actually build AI models. Local compute, no cloud, nothing. If they can build it, I'm pretty sure every company here has capable engineers that can build something. They've built a model for pothole detection, which is going to be deployed in the city in Ajmer. Some of them have built dermatological assistants. One has even built an LLM for history to read the entire textbook and give you personalized answers. That is your power in domain expertise. That is your power in knowledge. That is your power that you're leaving latent to be used. We decided as part of our contribution to India was to give AI to everyone, so anyone and everyone can build. And that is why we brought about this change. But I think the power is in your hands. Just saying that only US has compute, only they have GPUs. In the end, what even we are telling government of India is next 5 years we should make a better chip company than NVIDIA. That should be our goal and vision, because semiconductor manufacturing is not that expensive. But I think together, as India, it can be done at a big level. So trying to solve that at an even bigger level, but we've left the first step where our Mayo lab was also appreciated at the UN when we presented it. So 20 countries, leaders were very happy to see that transformation, bridging the digital divide. And it's one of the first products that from India will be going to the West, redefining education, bringing back the days of Nalanda Takshila. Touchwood. Thank you.
And to add on to the same aspects, you have these base models with you. You can develop the application all across this. You have the models, we don't even require now a GPU to that. You can run those models on your simple laptops, those have those, and you can do the application, and they are being done across. It's not like that India is not working upon the agriculture sides or the rural sides what require. So government is working all across, getting that census data, working on the analytics. There are already some models. You can use those base models, build an application all across this. Some of the applications Vedant has already developed, and people are working upon this. It's just not like that we need GPUs, US is working, China is working. We do have great works being done in India as well on those. Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw two more hands, sir, here, and then we'll come to the lady there.
Hi, I am J.K. Bhatti, Additional General Manager from RISE. My question is specifically to Mr. Ahluwalia. I hope you may be able to reply because you have worked in so many organizations and globally. My question is on AI-based data centers. I am giving you just one example. As on today, India's population is 140 crore and it is expected by 2050, it may go to 170 crores. Now due to climate change, temperature is increasing and after 30 or 40 years, more ACs will be required and more water will be required. But on the other hand, why I am asking this question, so far as the AI data centers are concerned, to keep them cool, 30% of electricity is required and pure water is required. What will happen after 30 to 40 years when a lot of AI centers data centers will be there worldwide, and at that time population will be more, temperature will be more, and water and electricity will be less? What are your views?
Very good question, and very pertinent question to start thinking of, because there are global statistics that say by 2030 we'll not have enough water, there won't be enough food to even feed us. And if you look at the agriculture yield in India, it's still 1/3 or close to that of United States. So if there's a way we can accomplish that without AI, please do tell me. But the only way forward in a lot of problems we face as society is artificial intelligence. Learning how planets are behaving, changing globally is done with AI. Because in the end, what it is basically a giant brain that's able to understand so much data that humans could not. And it's able to give us directions on what to do, how it's working, to even further every field of science we can imagine. We're getting better batteries. We've started nuclear energy. Tech companies are making nuclear plants for energy. So what the main crux of what you're saying on climate change and many things is AI will solve climate change. There are very few ways without AI that humanity will solve climate change. AI will be a key contributor. And the second aspect of AI-generated problems in climate and other things will again be solved by AI itself. Because these are problems, once AI understands the entire landscape, the problems, interventions will be made, and this will happen gradually over time. The first few steps have started. There are new forms of data centers, modular data centers being set up, other things that are less energy intensive. Our models that are there today, like ChatGPT and others that are using high energy, now the major research is low energy models. So in another 2-3 years, you'll see AI will not require as much energy for training. And if we have quantum chips, which Google has already invented, you're sitting on a world where I can compute something that would take many thousands of years in a regular computer to be done in a couple of minutes. That is the world we're entering. So these are problems of today. And yes, many research labs in the world are working on solving them. But without AI, that solution would take way more time because our efficiency is significantly higher when we have an AI assistant that's able to analyze all this large data and give us solutions. So I would like to urge you that yes, these are problems coming, but there are even bigger solutions coming and many big people working on the same thing. But the idea is you all should be part of it, because the only way to make a better future is to co-create it and everyone be part of it. And Steve Jobs said it really well, the only way to predict the future is to create it. So I urge you all to also look into creating the future of many things to come.
Thank you.
And yeah, to add on to this, I think the innovations are being done across in which data centers are being immersed into oceans. And that is being doing across. It needs pure water. The data centers research has been going on. It immersed into the oceans for the cooling perspectives. Quantum computers, those are altogether a different paradigm. The kind of the cooling it needs, it's in minus somethings. And those are altogether a different paradigm. Those will not be worked with the conventional cooling system what we are having. So the future will be having different problems. But yes, even to the groundwater level, even if I say that I was reading this, Punjab grows paddy, which has depleted the water level. China doesn't. There is a reason to it. So there are problems. There needs to be solution. I think there are larger forums for those. But yes, things are being worked upon on the solutions. But yes, there is still a future. Yeah.
Just to add a single line, green computing and carbon footprints are being tracked now in most of the organization or the large enterprises, and this is also being included as part of audit on a regular basis, that how much carbon footprint are you generating with respect to the technological usage. So that's also getting into regulations now, and that will be a significant part going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just like countries have a target to reduce carbon footprint, companies now, as a part of their ESG report, has a target to achieve in terms of reducing carbon footprint. So, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my namaskar to the entire panel. I have a question to Mr. Vedant. Question and suggestion also. We own a design firm, landscape, interior architect. Now, my question is like a common woman, common person like R.K. Lakshman. So common woman, citizen. So I just want to know, you just said that in 5 years, a lot of work is being done, they can predict the heart attack or whatever. So what is ailing the society of the entire world now? Marriage. So I want to know from the perspective of India, so is it doing some work, AI? Beyond astrology, Patri, Milan, so many marriage.com bureaus. So can it predict that this one will get married, son or daughter will get married, in so time, their marriage will be happy, not hocus pocus, and all those things. So just a little bit on that. Thank you.
Very good question. And I'd like to point that back to astrology. If we believe astrology is a science and all these predictions are based on planet movements, then AI can make similar predictions. So it has the capability of doing it because it's all about understanding the same science and making predictions that are personalized. There are some startups that are coming as AI astrologers. So I think you should be on the lookout for them. They might be able to start guiding you in these fronts. But the time has come where anything you imagine can be built. And your only limitation is your imagination and your self-belief. So now is the time to really move forward from being limited by tech, being limited by this era, and create something that's even higher, even bigger. Thank you.
And yeah. I think matchmaking is also getting more and more interesting when you are feeding in more and more data to these kind of platforms which are AI enabled. It is not just for marriage purposes, but also for interview purposes, relocations, if you want to have dating apps. So they are utilizing already a lot of characteristics and features which are AI driven and which are utilized for matchmaking. So
Why I asked this question was because a lot of marriages are not working. All over the world. Japan, I heard, is got such a big divorce rate. I'm just being a little curious on that.
No, good
so
point.
Why should it not
at some places you need to give humans
and
some credit
India people
for,
don't want to
bringing in more dynamicity to the system.
Children don't want to get married now, don't want to. I don't know.
To get these models into emotional intelligence, there is still some time. Yeah.
No, there's one report I was reading recently. In Japan, one person is married an AI avatar. So, I mean, where you're thinking is definitely interesting, and globally things have started changing because Japan with the entire work culture, which is very hard, I think this has been a new start of new era.
Yeah, I think people should just stop binge watching Netflix for 9 hours and some marriages would work, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
My name is Sunil Sharma. I work as a consultant. I have two set of questions. What kind of a percentage of job losses are we expecting in future? I'm sure AI is making us smart lazy. So will there be a divide further between have and have-nots who can't afford, even during the laptop time when this technology came in, even during the time of COVID, a lot of people couldn't attend those classes. So these are the two set of questions. Thank you, and a wonderful discussion so far.
Thank you. Very good question. I'd like to take this because this is something I'm deeply concerned about. A lot of our work and a lot of AI that is being built right now is on two fronts. One is big tech building all of AI. Second is democratization of AI, where many companies across the world build it. If it is the second, AI will lead to a better world for all, because everyone will have an opportunity, a better basic standard of living. You'll be able to get enough food, electricity, house, all the basic needs will be met, and the divide will be more addressed because there'll be local companies using their own data and creating a lot of AI that will create jobs, the upliftment of rural. Recently, I'd met someone from the royal family in rural, which was again mentioning that we're 100 years behind in tech and AI will be 1,000 years behind. But that time is not going to come if AI is implemented, developed correctly across countries. The idea is inclusive AI and ensuring everyone has a chance to contribute and be part of it. And that's been a lot of our work as well, because what we want is AI to reach everyone. It should not be a limitation that I don't have the talent, I don't have 100 million to spend, or I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the GPU. It should be something that everyone has, so the only excuse to fail is that I did not try. Because this chance being given to everyone is the responsibility of society. But if they don't use the chance, that is their responsibility. So I think a lot of our work has happened to really ensure everybody, right from school, college, even professionals, companies, have a chance to really rise and achieve their dream state. So I hope that answers your questions. I'll let the other panelists contribute.
Yes.
So I just want to add, I work with a lot of edtechs, and during COVID, we all thought that virtual classes will take over and everything will change. We saw what is happening with Byju's, they overbetted on certain aspects. And this reminds me, once my son's maths tutor was coming and he said, there is all knowledge available on internet and in books, but your son does not read. It's not about the information is not available. It is the discipline and the curiosity is a problem, for which you need a lot of human touch or human touch.
And I think this has been the talk of the town for many, many decades, job loss. Whenever there is a technological evolution that we see, we always start thinking about ourselves and saying that we would gonna lose jobs. The same thing happened when we had wheels being invented, when we had printing press being invented, when we had personal computers being invented, when we had mobile phones being invented, when we had social medias being invented. And now we are sitting on tons and tons of data, and now we are saying that we are at the cusp of losing jobs. So this technology is not about replacing you. This technology is all about augmenting you with day-to-day operations, which you can perform efficiently and focus on more complicated tasks, which requires a lot of human interventions right now. Just think like that today, if I am doing a transaction through an ATM machine, I immediately receive an email and an SMS. That's not because some banker is sitting at the back end and tracking my transactions and then sending it in a humanly way. No, that's not done. It's all automation that is going on, which is giving me a sense of security that yes, something has been done and I can track what has happened to my financial transactions. So the same way, AI is not going to replace you. Somebody using AI will definitely. So you need to upskill with the technology. That has always been the mantra. All the top leaders talk about this, that AI will never replace you, but any technology will always have a significant impact on your upskilling and how you evolve with the time. Had we not been sitting on a lot of data, maybe we would not have been talking about so much of intelligence being generated out of data. So that's the way to look at it, and I think most of us needs to invent new ways of understanding this technology and be a part of this revolution rather than resisting it and then ending up on the negative side of it. So that's the thoughts.
And I think on the same thoughts, when computers were introduced in India during 1992, same things were being thought across, that people will be losing jobs, everything will happen. But now when we see after 2 to 3 decades, we cannot think a life without computers. So this will be happening with the AI as well. There will be new opportunities, new areas, which we might not be able to think at this time, but let's be positive on those. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, the entire panel has the same thought process. Just to summarize, so first of all, I think new jobs will be created. We don't even know what they will look like in the next 2 to 5 years. And I think you spoke about technology dividing. I think technology is a big leveler. I think it's bringing villages and bringing rural areas closer to mainstream and to the new revolution, to the new ideas, new technology like never before. With the prices of smartphones and laptops reducing and all of that, I think it's just giving so much power in the hands of whether it is farmers, whether it is fishermen, whether it is other people in the rural area, that I think it is a big leveler rather than a divider. So I'm very optimistic about that. And I think with that, I know we are over the time, but I just want to summarize saying that we spoke about monetization of data, various models, direct, indirect, selling data itself, using data to sell services, or sharing data with other for better services. I do agree we are in the middle of a revolution, but then, we also need to make sure we don't get too carried away. And whatever we do, we work within, the four walls of ethics, compliances, regulations. Ethics, I would say, is number one, because there are some things which regulations and compliances may not be able to cover. So you need to be thinking yourself as a human being, is this the right thing to do? And I think there were a lot of good questions asked. I would thanks my panel. I think great session we had with the panel, and thanks for asking all those questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It was quite an insightful and a fun session. You could keep the delegates' mind out of the food for quite a long time. Anyways, we are at the close of our second edition of Big Data Analytics Conclave 2024. I want to take this opportunity to thank all our sponsors, our esteemed speakers, as well as the delegates for trying to making Big Data a success. And hoping to see you all next year in 2025. Wishing you all Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. Thank you. This is Arnav signing off.